Liftoff. Chapter 6. Well, we got a problem. Walter, Sam, and I have to be back at the Billingsworth by 5 p.m. Our day passes expire that time. Old Joe, looking out the window, said, Now, if we went to the last place we saw the Buick, it would be right out there in the parking lot. Funny thing is, said Walter, now that you mention it, both Zeke and me saw that old Buick ourselves. Remember that, Zeke? Yeah, that's right. Not our finest hour either. We were all pilled up, trying to get the driver committed to Billingsworth. In the end, we got him to give a speech. He talked about being sane. It was a very good speech. It was all about following rules. We were so out of it, we thought he was talking about the game of checkers. So Walter here begins to recite all the rules of checkers. Ain't that right, Walt? Yeah, I guess so. You'd be surprised just to know how many rules there are in checkers. Now, drafts, that's a different game altogether. Anyways, we hid that old Buick out back in the barn behind some bales of hay. Like Zeke said, we thought he was trapped with us at the Billingsworth. But in the end, he slipped past us because he had this identification tag marked visitor. So I guess the last place for us in seeing the old Buick would be out back of the Billingsworth. Okay then, suggested Artie. Perhaps we could try keeping a watch in all three places at the same time. If we look closely around these areas, it could just be that we find something that was overlooked, a clue or two. We all need to get started. How do you want to go about it? Any suggestions? Molly put her hand up and said, Joe and I will go back and take a closer look about the parking lot to see if we missed anything. You drop Zeke, Sam, and Walter off at Billingsworth. You two guys try to scope out the shed if you get a chance. Artie, you go back to that field to see what you can turn up. That only leaves me, Sam pointed out. I seem to be at the edge of this while being in the center of it at the same time. Thing is, I think I saw that Buick also. Gave me a feeling that's a little hard to describe as it passed by the window while I was playing the piano. What sort of feeling was it? Well, I can't be entirely sure, but it was as if I had a connection to it. I can't call it a memory since I don't have those. I did read a magazine article on near-death experience. They call it NDE. So I wonder if you could call what I had ANME, a near-memory experience. Walter laughed. Holy crap! That settles it. Ever notice how weird we all are? Not a normal person among us. Maybe that's why we're still here. Who would possibly want us on their team? Artie, caught up in his own thoughts, began with the realization that you can't hide a phantom car in a barn, so the Buick must be real enough. And you can't load up a phantom car with passengers either. If that is so, then it follows logically that a real car just can't vanish. But if it did, then what logic do you employ to find it? Flying cars, vanishing cars, disappearing people? He thought about what Walt had pointed out. Each of the participants in the room were peculiar in their own way. Are we peculiar enough to open a door to the unknown? Are we responsible for the Buick showing up? Okay, I'll give you three guys a ride back. Try to check the barn where you last saw the Buick if you get a chance. I'll try to arrange for more day passes. Maybe we could all meet back here on Saturday and go over any new findings. You two take a good look around outside, and Sam, if you could just spend some time thinking of that feeling you had when you saw the Buick, you know, trying to put it in your own words, no matter how far-fetched it seems to you, I'm sure we'd be all ears. Old Joe and Molly watched as a cab pulled out on the highway, with Artie behind the wheel. Little did they realize this would be the last time all 6 of them would be together. Artie thought he misheard. I would like to arrange day passes for Walter Halfawake, Sam Eversore, and Zeke Semicircle. The young woman at the desk replied, I have a Zeke Semicircle and a Walter Halfawake, but as for that third person, Sam Eversore. I signed him out last week. I returned him on time also. I'm afraid there isn't anyone listed here by that name. Artie, growing suspicious, said deliberately, You must remember, I was here last week. I spoke with you. You helped me fill in the forms. He double-checked the name tag on her uniform. Miss Chilly Waters, it read. The attendant, growing suspicious herself, asked, Are you a former resident of Billingsworth yourself, Mr. Odometer? Can't say as I ever had the pleasure. As for Sam Eversore, he is, or was, until very recently. Okay, maybe his real name isn't Sam Eversore. That was a name he adopted because he was suffering from severe amnesia. He forgot his real identity. It's possible his memory returned, and now he's using his real name. Maybe he signed himself out once he regained his memory. Did anyone leave during the past week? The attendant regarded him with a cool eye. People can't sign themselves out. There haven't been any departures during the last week. But Walter Halfawake and Zeke Semicircle are here. Is that right? Yes, I have them both listed. I would like to sign them out on day passes for next Saturday. Is that possible? Sure, no problem. I just have to run it past them to see if they want passes. Can you do that now? Just have a seat. I'll be back in a few minutes. Artie nervously tried to calm himself. This has to be the strangest event yet, he thought. Not that Sam has gone missing. I guess it's true after all. People do vanish around here without a trace. No, that part seems oddly familiar, even at some deep level expected. But for her to not recognize me, have no listing for Sam, it's like Sam disappeared from the past and the future at the same time. Like he had been erased. While he was thinking about this, the attendant, along with Walter and Zeke, entered the lobby. Artie, relieved, looked up and weakly smiled. You do remember me, I hope, don't you?